Good morning! Welcome to another episode of Kitchenrule at Home. Today we're making a very classic 3-layered carrot cake. If my eye looks a bit puffy, it's because a weight fell on me at the gym, so I have like a blue eye, but it's okay, we'll just work with it. Alright, so our ingredients are the following. Obviously carrots. I like to use a lot of carrots, so there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but these are like small, so 4 large carrots. We're gonna use some labneh or yogurt, brown sugar, dark brown sugar. I feel like it makes it more moist and it gives like a richer flavor. White sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, salt, baking powder, baking soda, oil, flour. All the ingredients are gonna be in the description. I have my carrots here. They have been peeled and washed. You can grate them. I hate grating carrots and I hate getting out my big food processor, so I'm just gonna chop these up roughly and then put them in my food chopper. I feel like the texture comes out really fine, which I like, but also not too fine that you don't get to see it inside the cake. And don't overpack this. You're gonna fill this about halfway. I think that's good. You want to allow enough space for the chopping to happen evenly. So you want your carrots to look fine like this, but there's still bits. But you want it to look, does it look juicy? Does that make sense? Like you want some of the water to have come out, but you don't want it to be like a complete puree. Our carrots have been nicely grated. You can see some of the carrot juice. This is exactly what we want. Don't squeeze it out. You need the juice of the carrots to make the cake juicy. This is about 400 grams of carrot. It's a lot of carrot, but we're making 3 cakes. So set this aside, and now we're gonna mix our wet ingredients with our sugar. So we're gonna go in with some oil. I use oil for this recipe, not butter. So this is about, let's see how much oil this is. 200 grams of vegetable oil. You want a neutral oil. You can use like an olive oil, but then it'll be like an olive oil carrot cake. You will really taste the olive oil, which is not necessarily a bad thing if you like it. So that's 200 grams of vegetable oil, and then we're gonna go in with sugar. We're using 2 types of sugars here. I know you guys hate it when I do that, but let me tell you why. So this is dark, soft brown sugar. It's what I use in all my baking, my brownies and my cookies. It adds such depth of flavor, it adds moistness, it adds so much richness, so it really elevates the cake. And then you have your basic white sugar. So we're gonna go in with about, let's see, I'm gonna use a scale for you guys to make things more accurate. So this is about 2/3 of a cup of dark, soft brown sugar, which is 130 grams. And then we're gonna go in with another 2/3 cup of white sugar. So equal amounts of white and brown. All right, so we're just gonna, you can do this by hand, by the way, if you don't have a mixer, but it makes my life so much easier. We have our oils and our 2 sugars here. Our oils and our sugars have combined really well. They don't look like a cohesive mixture now, but don't worry, once we add our eggs, everything will combine. So we're adding 4 eggs, 1 at a time until it's well incorporated. The last egg goes in, and then we're gonna mix that on a medium speed for I'd say about a minute, like a complete minute. Then about 1 minute, our butter, I keep saying butter, but it's oil. Our oil, sugars, and egg have combined really well. And we're gonna go in with our labneh. You can use yogurt, but I have labneh, which reminds me I need to weigh this for you guys. Let's use this. All right. This is whatever I have left. I'm guessing it's about half a cup. I think it's gonna be about 100 grams. So our yogurt labneh goes in. You can use leban, you can use sour cream. You can even use whole milk. Low fat or skimmed milk won't work well for this, so I wouldn't use that as a substitute. Everything is well mixed. Now we're gonna add our dry ingredients and our carrots. I'm gonna go in with my carrots first to get that out of the way. This is a lot of carrot, but it is a carrot cake after all. Look how pretty this is. So festive. And like the color is just so joyful. Guys, this is like my best kept secret. Are you ready? Look at my flour. Wait, let me show them the other drawer too. Lots of cables going on here. This is like the new batch that I don't touch. This is not dirty. This is just old, very old. All right, back to our flour. This is all-purpose flour. Let's measure this. I think we need about 2 cups, but I'm gonna weigh it for you. 215 grams. So my guess is about, how much is this? Let's do 400. Okay, 400 grams of all-purpose flour. This is our flour, and now we're gonna go in with our spices. So about a large teaspoon, a heaping teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of nutmeg. I'm gonna go in with salt, about half a teaspoon. Some baking soda, also half a teaspoon. And then some baking powder. We're gonna go in with more baking powder. Mix everything up, and then we're just gonna pour this into our wet batter. Let me just mix the carrots up a bit. Okay, let's go in with our dry ingredients. We'll do halvesies because this is a lot and I don't want to get it all over the place. On low speed, I don't want to overmix this. Let's go in with our other half of the mixture. And look at what I'm gonna do, guys. So I'm gonna leave a teeny tiny bit in my bowl over here, and you'll see why in a bit. Let's just get this nice and incorporated. Do not overmix this, guys. Like, I think 30 seconds is all you need. Okay, that's good to me. You're just gonna remove the whisk to make sure you don't have any dry bits. You can go in with a spatula. All right, all these little black dots are from my brown sugar that I did not crumble, so don't make my mistake again. All right, back to this little bit of flour we have over here. So this is totally, completely optional, but I like bits in my carrot cake. Like, I like walnuts, I like raisins. Everyone hates raisins. I love raisins. So we're just gonna break some walnuts up. It's up to you. I'd say about half a cup of walnuts and like a handful of dried raisins. If you don't like raisins, you can use cranberries. You can even use like, what is that Persian thing that's really sour? Zirish, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it. That would work. Zirish. That would work really great because it's very nice and tart, and this is going to be really sweet. So I'll move on with that in a bit, but I just want to show you why I do this. You want to coat the nuts with the flour. That way they don't sink when you put them in the cake. You know how sometimes like it sinks all the way to the bottom of the cake? You don't want that. You want it to be like mixed in and incorporated really nicely. So you always have to dust your fillings with some flour. We're ready to mix in our mix-ins. So toss and flour. You don't have to sift this because this is like, we needed this. We just, like, it's part of the recipe. It's not like we're adding excess flour. And we're gonna, right. So now we're gonna fold this in beautifully like so. Use your spatula. And once you stop seeing flour streaks, you're ready to pour into your pans. Let's talk about our pans. I'm making a layer cake, a 3-layer cake, so it's like it's pretty impressive. If you don't want to go through that route, you can bake it in a long rectangle pan, or you can just use a bundt pan. So just some soft butter. All right, just go in. These have been buttered really nicely on the sides, and now I'm just gonna dust them with some flour. Just regular plain old flour. It would be best to do this under a sink, but my sinks are occupied now, so we're just gonna do it here. So you put flour and then you just roll and tap. Roll and tap out all the excess. So our pan here is really nicely buttered and floured. There's not a thick layer of flour, so you make sure you tap the excess out really well. And then we're gonna go in with our base. If you don't have a removable base, this is completely fine. You can just use a regular pan, and I don't butter it. I just put this right on top, and then I'm gonna continue with the rest of my pans. The reason oh god, this is so heavy. The reason I'm making a 3-layered cake is because we have a birthday today. So this is gonna be the birthday cake. So I'm actually gonna be weighing this out so they bake evenly. So yummy, guys. I love a carrot cake. I feel like you either like the spices or you don't. I really, really do. We're gonna bake this. I think I got it. That sound. We're gonna be baking this, I think, for about 20 minutes because they're not really thick. But we'll check on you in a bit. So I'll put a timer for 10 to see where we're at because I don't want to overbake these. And I just want to show you how like the oven works. So you can see this cake is like done. Like it's firm, but it's a bit soft to the touch. This one is also done, but this one is still pretty raw. So we're just gonna rotate, like we're gonna move this in, and we're gonna bake these for another minute, and then I'm gonna bake the one that's a bit loose for another like 2 to 3 minutes. And then we can let them cool, and then we can build. To frost our cakes, we're gonna be making like a vanilla bean whipped cream, but with cream cheese. So it's like a cream cheese frosting that has way less sugar because I don't like the gritty icing sugar feel. And I'm gonna be using some fake maple syrup. It just tastes a bit better. It doesn't taste better, but it just gives me that maple flavor, like a more prominent maple flavor in my frosting. I'm gonna use about, I think we'll do like 30 grams of this. Maybe 40, let's do 40. 30 feels little. All right, so we have 40 grams of fake artificial maple syrup, like pancake syrup if you wanna call it. And we have 7 kitty slices, or like you can use cream cheese if you want. I always have kitty cheese in my fridge. And make sure that you take it out and it's at room temp because it's gonna be really hard to mix otherwise. We're gonna blend this up until it's smooth before adding our whipped cream because it can get quite lumpy like that. You see how it like curdles? So you want to make sure it mixes nice before we add like our cream. It's okay if there's little tiny lumps, it's gonna go, but you want like a majority of it to be smooth. So I think we're looking pretty good. See, like you can still see tiny clumps, but that's completely fine. And now we're gonna go in with our heavy cream. Make sure you use like real heavy cream, at least like 30-35% fat. Don't use the vegetable kind. I'm gonna go in with 200 grams, let's say. Actually, let's make more because there's nothing worse than frosting your cake and then realizing, let's just finish this. How much is this? 420 grams of heavy cream.
200 to 220.
Yeah, because I have 3 layers. Like I want to make sure I have enough frosting for all 3. And then because I have vanilla bean powder, you can use vanilla extract. I'm gonna go in with a pinch. And then always salt. You need some salt to balance out all the sweetness. So just a dash. And then I'm gonna go in with all my icing sugar. I don't know how much this is, so we'll see. I, again, don't want my icing to be too sweet, like my frosting. So that was 85 grams of icing sugar. Remember, we have the sweetness from the maple too. So I think this would be a perfect like balance of sweet. Okay, we're gonna whip this. Actually, before I do that, let me use my spatula and sort of scrape any cream cheese I have stuck on the bottom. You can see how it's trying to get thick. See, it's looking nice and luscious. I would stop here and use my hand because I'm always so scared of over whipping my cream. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. Like a few more twirls here and there. You can see. So it's really important not to over whip your whipped cream unless you're trying to make butter. Like if you ever do, don't waste it because that's good butter. But this is what it looks like. I want it to be a bit more set because I need to use this to like build my cake, but let's try it first. It's so like crazy good. I'm not even, you want to try it? Please, please, please. It's like a maple syrup, like it tastes like a pancake in cream form.
Yum.
Right? It's so good. It's gonna be so good on the cake. Okay, so my little issue here is that this is a bit too loose and I'm scared it's not gonna hold my cake when I frost it. So I'm trying to think of what I can do to make this thicker. I can go in, it can handle more sugar, right? Like when you tasted it.
Yeah, sure. So they can mix it more, no? Just mix it more.
What should I do? Should I mix it more? Or should I add more icing sugar so
I don't need icing sugar now.
it doesn't take a long time?
Mix it.
All right, Basil is telling me to just mix it a bit longer. But look at it. I don't want to ruin this texture. Oh, look at that. It's so pretty. Khalas, I'm going to stop here. We're just going to let this cool and let it set a bit. And then I'll frost this in about 2 hours. So we'll fast forward time and then I'll show you guys how to frost. So this is like 2 hours later. So much things happened. It's chaotic in here. My black eye is a black eye. All right, this is what our frosting looks like. Good call on not adding sugar because it's nice and like set. And our cakes are beautiful. They're nice and cooled. How easily they release from the pan. And because we lined them, it's gonna be really easy to assemble. So just peel off the parchment. You can see how moist and like fluffy it is. And you can see again how there's like walnut, like raisin here, walnut here. It's distributed really evenly. Evenly. It's distributed really evenly. And it tastes amazing. We're gonna be using the flat side to start with. Ooh, I feel like I should explain this to you. So I have parchment here laid out in threes. So we have this. So when we finish decorating and it's going to be messy, I can just pull them off and then we'll have a very clean serving plate. So we're going to go in with our cake. So that's about a cup per layer. We're going to spread this out, not all the way to the side, because when you put the second layer, it's going to like squish. But look how glorious this is. All right, and I want to go in with a bit more maple, just a tiny bit, just like a swirl. Okay, you just make things like extra special. I am very tempted to add a pinch of sea salt, but I'm not going to because this is not my birthday cake. But if it was mine, I would have.
Make you a salty cake.
Our second layer goes in. This is just, it's just beautiful. Look at that. Oh, it's gorgeous. All right, another cup or so of frosting. If you're a fan of like the traditional cream cheese icing frosting, you can use that. I just really dislike the gritty feel. Basil actually loves it, but I never make it for him. All right, going in with another drizzle of maple. You can also use real maple syrup, but it's way more expensive, so I reserve it for like pancakes and waffles and whatever, and French toast. If you haven't watched the video, click somewhere here. I always wanted to do that. Yeah, but here I'm just using like artificial maple syrup. And I'm gonna go in and finish it off with the flat, so not the domed top, the flat top. Does that make sense? Like the base.
Keep the flat side up.
It's so good. I'm gonna now put the remaining frosting all over. I'm still deciding if this is gonna be like a naked-ish cake or a properly frosted cake. I don't know. I don't know if we have enough frosting to frost it all. We'll try our best. But it's a really fun thing to do, a layered cake. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be like crisp edged. Just make it fun. Okay, we're going down to the edges and sort of turning the plate. If you have a turntable, now would be a good time to use it. Mine is currently occupied with spices, so I'm just turning the plate myself. So we're just gonna finish off our final coating. Every last drop because I need it. Oopsie. Listen, with decorating a cake, things can get really messy. So make sure you have like everything at hand, because when you have frosting stuck everywhere, it's really chaotic. Okay, I'm just gonna go with like swirls. So, oops. So I have some walnuts here. I'm just gonna be crushing, and I'm gonna put it like on top as an extra touch. And then I'm gonna refrigerate this for about an hour, so lunch is in a bit. By the time we finish eating, it should be set. So here we have our walnuts that I've crushed, and I'm just gonna do like a nice border, like so. What would be like really special is if you caramelized these walnuts, you know, like sort of bitter sugar. That would be great. We don't have time for that right now. Clock is ticking, my friend. Lunch is now. I'm still here. I still need to get dressed.
يا ربي الله يديم علينا هالجمعة.